He's got to
Noel,
right where he started.
I don't know if you want to sit. Noel, if you want to sit or stand. Curtis, pleasure.
Hey, Curtis.
How are you? You just want to put that one there for us?
You want me to do any of this while I'm
Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
I'll get you to fill in a lotto while you're there.
That's you.
Just
That's all right.
Just had my eyes done. I bloody leaked like a sinner.
Take your time, mate.
Actually, he's shedding a tear because they're behind the home.
Yeah.
No, he's still thinking about that grand final, mate. I'm not going to talk about that grand final because the last time we talked about that at Lidcombe, back to Lidcombe Day, you got quite emotional.
Oh, you want to cry?
Yeah.
I got all sorts of funny things.
The only time he's recovered was at Darcy Lawler's funeral.
Oh, Darcy Lawler, please don't upset him. No, he's got a smile on his face at the moment.
He's in his place, old ass.
So if you whack them on for us,
Yep.
I feel like calling you Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, go.
Can I call you Mr. Kelly?
Call me what you like.
I'll call you Mr. Kelly then.
All right.
That's all right.
Call me.
So Keith's met you a few times now.
Yeah.
First time meeting you, sir, and being a Magpies fan myself, this is a bit of a pleasure. And I guess that the best thing about the internet these days, I don't know how much Googling you do and all the rest of it, but it keeps you up to date with history and all the rest. And going back through some of the things in your era, particularly, and I know we'll speak about this off air, Keith, about some of the battles you had with Ian Walsh. Back in the the Magpies, the Millionaire Magpies as they were called back then, against the Dragons, the 11 Straighters.
Well, they were before I got here. They were the Millionaires, mate, but it only took me about 3 months in Sydney to find out that we were virtually the paupers.
That's right.
But yeah, so like, can you tell us a bit about some of the battles you had? Like, did you get to play against Ken Carney?
No,
He was finished by then, was he?
he's finished here, and Ian Walsh and I came in then. And that was this, I was playing for Queensland at the time, and he was playing for New South Wales. And then they were ding-dong battles, and of course it was a lot more open. You could get away with a lot more in those days than you can now. So which made them pretty hard games, and then I'd never met him before, and he'd never met me, but they came to Queensland and we cleaned them up. And that was probably the last time that Queensland were ever.
Yeah.
It used to be the other way around. New South Wales used to beat Queensland all the time. So anyway, then we played that series, and as I said, Queensland won that, and then we all got picked to go on the 59 Kangaroos.
Yep.
And then of course we got to know one another a hell of a lot better.
And I guess we've got a game to call the second half, but you stay as long as you want, mate. It'd be fun to see you commentate some footy with us. But could you explain to us really quickly, for anyone at home, any kids listening, about what a scrum was like back then? Because it was just more than bash and barge. You had to win the ball for your team. And how many scrums would you have in a game back then? 30, 40, 50?
Oh yeah, you'd say 30.
Yeah.
You'd say 30. But the fact of the matter about the hooker in those days, it all starts with the hooker. The hooker in those days was normally a forward who wasn't of any great strength, but he could win the ball. You know? And of course, in during that, you had to be able to take getting kicked and bashed and stood on and abused when you didn't win the ball. And of course you had an open side prop, a blind side prop, same in the second row, open blind and the lock. And those, of course, everybody had a job to do in the scrum.
Yeah.
And that's what it was all about. It was getting down and getting the ball. And at the end of the day, if the hooker if West didn't win, and I was the hooker, then I'd probably get the blame for not getting enough ball.
Yeah.
But the things you had to do in those days to get the ball weren't always the nicest things you've ever done.
No. You can just imagine some of the, being in the middle of some of those scrums.
Well, loose hand, I was always taught it by my late uncle, because he was a hooker too, and I played a bit at schoolboy level, was if you see a loose hand in there, you stand on it, you turn with your studs.
Well, that used to happen in the rucks as well too. You know, like, I mean, all those dirty little rotten things, everybody used to go out to hurt everybody. And I suppose good on them, you know.
Yeah.
Because you had to be pretty bloody durable to stick with it, you know.
And the boys out here today playing for the Kelly Sattler Cup.
Yeah.
And I think I've met John Sattler once before at a function, and everyone else will say the nicest bloke off the field you've ever met. But I was reading the Never Before, Never Again about the Dragons 11 straight, and some of the Dragons boys explained what it was like playing against Sattler and O'Neill and those kind of blokes on the field.
Yeah.
They'd be your best blokes at the end of the game, shake your hand and go and have a drink with you. But explain what it was like playing against Sattler and those blokes.
Well, they were a really good side. Souths have always had good teams and good supporters as well, you know, and I very nearly went to play with Souths when I came to Symons with West. However, it didn't work out. So when Lurch and those guys, Sats, and I'm just trying to think, there was another big problem. They were really. It took them a couple of years to get going to be in their top side.
Yeah.
You know? And then once they all got moulded in together, they were really good on. I mean, you're talking about players like Coote and McCarthy and all these other guys that really made up the side. But yeah, Sats and I played. It was a bit like the same deal with Walsh. We played against one another, you know, for ages, and there's always a lot of respect.
Yeah.
You know, like if you can hardly go away with a bloke and be his roomie for a week and then come out and bash him next week.
and
mind you, it does happen.
Yeah, I bet.
And Curtis, what we were talking to Ned a couple of seasons ago, though, back to Lincoln Day. I can remember as a kid, the first thing that would happen on the newspapers, the big question mark would be, before the Kangaroo tour, is Kelly's knee going to stand up? And who's going to play hooker, Walsh or Kelly? And as he pointed out, it didn't really matter, because whether Walsh or Kelly played hooker, it didn't matter. We still had three front rowers, and that was the beauty of it.
Well, that made us a better side, I thought, you know. And of course, before we arrived on the scene, hookers, like I was saying, were specialists in getting the ball, but they didn't always have to be much of a forward.
A forward, yeah.
Yeah. But when we arrived, we sort of brought with us how that we could play the game as well.
Yeah.
And well, I played just as many tests as prop as I did as hooker.
So hooker, yeah.
That's how it sort of turned around. But when you have a look at it now, I mean, the hooker plays no part. Actually, it's the best position. It was the worst position to play once.
Yeah.
But from what I see of the game now, I reckon hooker's the best position in the field.
They're dummy half. They're just a dummy half.
It's another halfback though, isn't it?
Yeah, another halfback, and you get first go at the ball.
Yeah.
You know,
First receiver.
and most of the tackles that you make are people running into you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a hell of a good position to be in now. But ask Cameron. Cameron knows all about it. Cameron Smith.
Yeah.
Just a quick update on the score. Second half has started. It's 12-4 after 4 minutes of play. Can you tell me, just in the same book, it's funny that I just finished reading it, were you playing that game at Pratton Park when there was a famous incident where a game went about 86 minutes because a spider got into the scoreboard or the time? Were you playing that game?
I think I was. I think Urko Liston used to sit in the scoreboard, you know, and he used to always complain that there was no water over there and you had to come get out of the box to go to the toilet and all this stuff. And so anyway, I think that day might have been a spider got in the top.
What do you think of this game? What do you think of the...
I think it's quite good. They, you know, even in the girls' game today, the passing in that now is a hell of a lot more accurate and direct than it was when we were playing, I reckon. And I suppose the fact that the ball's a lot lighter and you know, you can shovel them around a lot better, but Jesus, they really pass them 30 or 40 yards wide, you know.
Yeah, they do. But also, with that leather ball that we had, you know, you get that on a wet day and she was like throwing a couple of bricks around.
Take a soap.
Yeah.
Yeah, the funny thing about some guys that could kick the bloody things just the same.
Yeah.
Like Keith Barnes.
Oh, Golden Boots.
Golden Boots. I've
Harry
seen,
Bath, he was a good kicker.
Yeah, well, Barnes, Keith Barnes, they call him Tin Legs.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got pretty thin legs,
Yeah.
with respect.
Yeah.
Pretty skinny legs, you know. And good golfer and all that. Just got the timing right of everything.
Yeah.
And geez, I've seen him kick goals in England as well with that leather ball.
Yeah.
And over there, they use old ones that have been around for about 10 years, you know.
Yeah.
They got rings around from where they trained on them, you know,
Yeah.
painting them white.
Yeah.
And
Magpies in the corner. I think they got a try. He's got to put it down finally.
That's a try.
It's our boy Mar Barney's got the try, I think.
Ah,
Keith, you were talking a bit before about. No, you're right. You're right. Stay, please. Stay as long as you want.
okay.
I'll ask you another question about. I guess some people wouldn't understand watching the international game at the moment. So it's basically Australia and New Zealand get up sometimes, and it's good to see Tonga and England going all right. But way back in the day, Great Britain were the absolute marker, weren't they? And it was a completely different game over there at the club level compared to the Australian game for a long time, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, in those days, of course, it was the days of the Kangaroo Tour, the fair income Kangaroo Tours, and to represent on the Kangaroo Tour was the ultimate. You know, like the state games were all a bit behind that. It's changed a bit now, mainly the fact that they've got rid of the Kangaroo Tour as it was is, they need a kick in the ass for that, I reckon, because you'd get the cream of the country and go away together. And our first trip was 5.5 months.
Months, that's right.
And I mean, that's a lot, and 36 games, you know.
Yeah.
It took you 52 flying hours to get there. But I mean, once you were there and you were settled in and they dump you out of town in a third grade pub, you know, and then the management would fly first class where the players, they used to fly down in the old bin down at the back of the. You might remember when people used to smoke on aeroplanes, and you'd all have to go down the back of the plane, and the half would be smoking, and you could only see the bottom of the bottom half of the person, as you didn't know who you were talking to, because the rest of it was all smoke. Looking through. But after we'd devoured all the grog on board, most times we'd have a way of getting over that, you know, passing out or something. But however, with Kangaroo Tours, you take the cream of the country away, and a lot in amongst them would be a few of the oldies from a tour before, and then you get the up and coming players who caught on pretty quick. But there was this hatred between the Poms and Aussie in Australia. It hasn't changed yet. It's hard to concentrate.
I know.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
especially since there's a
Oh, we've got 10 in the bin for a Rabbitohs player.
Whoa!
Way too late, eh, Ned?
Well, I'll tell you what, the only thing, he got sent from a short spot.
So 10 in the bin.
Yeah, that's real. I can
know a bit
remember.
about that.
I can remember my dad taking us out to the Sydney Cricket Ground. I was only a little kid, and to see Australia play England, Great Britain on several occasions, and you know I saw Prescott, the Pommy captain, with a broken arm in a bloody plaster cast, and he still came out and played. You know, and Keevy Holman was injured, so he couldn't play halfback, so they shift Kel O'Shea up, and he plays halfback. That's how it was, you know. But that feeling between the Pommies, the old enemy, and that's what they were called, it was real, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It was just into it, you know. And the funny part about it, you mentioned it before, blokes have a beer after the game. Now, there wasn't one Pommy that I didn't have a beer with after a game. But we certainly turned it on when we were out there. Like some of the stuff we did to get the ball and to get rid of the bombs was, you know, it was pretty ordinary stuff. You know, they were doing it to us. Like, I mean, I think they taught us. They wrote the book.
And I guess in the middle of winter on a tour over there, there's not much to do between games. So you sit in your hotel and what do? You play poker and euchre and...
Oh, yeah, you play a lot of cards.
Did you get out a lot or was it just too cold?
Well, no, but it was beautiful the first trip. We were out, the weather. Yeah, it was a bit, let's say how cold it was, but I mean, everything is like it is in Sydney. Like everything's built in, like you've got heaters in the joint and you wear warm clothes. I don't think you have too much to worry about.
Another try for the Magpies. You're our lucky charm.
This is
Yeah,
it.
you have to
They're on fire. They've got 2 tries since you've been up here.
I just told Paddy Thomas before I came up when this wind changed, when they run with the wind, they get a bit of fresh air down their snorkel, they'll be right and have a look, score it everywhere.
They're on fire. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate, to meet you and talk to you, and we'll get you back to your beers. And
Righto.
I hope they're on the house as well.
Yeah.
On the house.
Yeah, everything's under control.
The thing is,
No.
Curtis, we've let him go this time because the only thing we didn't talk about, well, we did when we first came in, but he didn't have the headsets on, was that bloody Darcy Lloyd in that grand final. And I remember.
No, why would you do it at the end? He's in a good mood.
Don't get too excited.
No, I remember the effect that it had on you talking about that, because it really was the grand final that you deserved to win. There's no doubt about that. You had a great side, but it just wasn't to be, and it still rankles with you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, you can't believe how much that cost us. Like, as you get older and older, and you look back, most of the players that were remembered for anything, well, they were remembered winning the comp.
Yeah.
And that was the ultimate in playing in Sydney.
Yeah.
Was to win the bloody comp, you know, because, well, everybody knows what happened in the game, so it wasn't to be, but I mean, that was his doing, not ours.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, you know, it just shits me every time I think about it.
And it must be a horrible feeling too, because I think it was Jack Gibson that told you before the game that
Yeah.
something was up, and then just as the game goes on, the little things in the back of your head, the decisions. I think there was a Johnny King try that wasn't a try, and all those little things. And at the end of the game, I mean, you've given you everything, and it's taken away from you.
As I said to Ned last time, but if you go back and you look at his record, not just at club level, but at Kangaroo level and those Kangaroo tours that he went on, and you look at that big thing we had with, you know, the 100 best players we've had and all that sort of stuff, you're right up there, mate. So don't worry about the fact that you didn't win that grand final that you really thoroughly deserved. But your name is still up there and will always be up there because of those Kangaroo tours.
Oh yeah, well, I had a lot of fun. It was like, I was never born to be a rugby league player or anything. It just happened like that, you know.
Yeah.
I went and started playing junior footy, and next minute I know it's in the seniors, and next minute I know I'm in Queensland side and the Kangaroo side. And it just changed, got married, and still got my beautiful missus there. She's been with me all the time, and it's just been a change where we came from Queensland to New South Wales, and then our kids signed another contract, and the kids are getting older and going to school, and you had to uproot them to go back. So the next minute we were staying here. You know? So we've been in Sydney since 1961.
Wow, brilliant.
Had one change of address.
Wow. There you go. And look, at the end of this year, hopefully we see in the New South Wales Cup the Magpies over St George.
Yeah, good.
And then in first grade, St George, West Tigers over St George Illawarra in the grand final as well.
We hope so.
Thank you very
Good on
much.
you, boys.
Noel Ned Kelly, thank you very much, sir. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Noel. Great to see you again, mate.
And then Magpies 16, South 12. Well, if it gets to about 20 at the end of the game, mate, come back with a few minutes to go and we'll see the Magpies get over the line.
Paddy Thomas is down there.
Thank you very much, Noel Kelly. And to Rick.